Breach it! Breach it! Get on the ground!
2 investigations from the case files of Lt.Joe Kenda. First, a young couple's date night ends in tragedy.
His chest is covered in blood.
He did not deserve to die.
As detectives delve into his past,
Can't sell dope in front of a damn school.
a crucial clue sets off a manhunt.
They look like what they are. Death on a high horse.
Then,
Robert!
a blood-soaked crime scene inside a shopping mall leaves investigators baffled.
Was he hit? Was he struck? Is there a gunshot wound?
It looked like this guy had been murdered by Jack the Ripper. Bad choices lead to tragic results. You have to be held accountable for what you do, and the police are going to collect that accountability from you. There's one thing that never changes: murder. A life has been taken. Their stories are now my stories. I never know where a case is going to lead, but I'll never stop until it's solved. Somebody has to look out for the victim.
If you kill, I will find you.
It's just after 2 a.m., and 29-year-old Deanne Parker is exhausted after working the late shift.
She's just about to fall asleep when she's jolted awake by the sounds of arguing just outside her bedroom window.
But then she heard some gunshots. She gets out of bed and she looks out her window and she sees a woman screaming for help.
Listen, somebody might be in trouble. There's a girl yelling down the street screaming, "Get here, quick, hurry, please."
I was coming home around 2 o'clock in the morning, and I parked the car, and I walked up to the front door of the house.
4 Paul 1, dispatch to 4 Paul 1.
And I was about to stick my key in the lock.
Go for 4 Paul 1.
We have reports of a shooting on Institute.
It doesn't matter what time it is. Crime doesn't have a clock or a wristwatch.
10-4, I'm on the way.
Emotion drives it, not the time of day or night.
25 minutes later, Kenda pulls up to a cordoned-off street in the center of the city.
Morning, Wilson. Grimes. Morning. So I understand there's been a shooting. What do we got?
We've got a 25-year-old black male victim. We've identified him as Julius Nelson. We've got a couple of witnesses say he goes by a street name of Ricky.
Okay, has the body been transported?
No, not yet. We're still waiting on the coroner. He's still in the car.
You said there's eyewitnesses?
There are. We've got one male that's an acquaintance or friend of the victim, and a female, Kathy Needler. She's the victim's girlfriend.
We're advised that the girlfriend was very distraught, so they escorted her from the scene to the police station to be interviewed later.
Okay, hold on to the male witness until we take a look at the body.
Yes, sir.
So I walk up to this car, and sitting behind the wheel, slumped over in the seat to his right, is Ricky Nelson. His chest is covered in blood.
Did you see the tire iron? Yep.
Your first conclusion when look at this, there are 4 tires inflated on this car. He has no reason to have this tire iron in or near him. It may mean nothing at all, but it's interesting that it's there.
Got a bunch of casings over here.
There's 8 shell casings found at the scene. The shell casings are small caliber .22. Also, we noticed that the victim's vehicle has some damage to include 7 bullet holes.
This generally happens in the case of an unqualified shooter, somebody that really doesn't know how to use the gun, just pulls the trigger until it stops going bang and points this in the direction of the victim.
The guy witness? Yes, sir.
So we've looked at this crime scene, and now the patrol officers have a witness present in the back of a patrol car whose name is Walter Walker.
Step out of the vehicle, please. Have a seat. So you're friends with Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, me and Ricky, we go way back.
He goes by the street name of Scappy. He tells us that they've known each other since they were children, and it's clear to us that he's very upset over the loss of Ricky.
So what went on here tonight?
Oh man, I don't know. We was driving around, and I got out the car to pee, and these 2 dudes showed up.
He says 2 males approach him, and they talk. He doesn't say about what. And they're in some blue car, and all of a sudden it goes way south and everything goes down.
I don't know. It just got out of control real fast. Those boys were crazy.
He gives us a physical description, which is relatively vague.
Here's the thing, Mr. Walker. You want us to find who killed your friend? We're gonna need some more information.
I told you it was a blue car, right?
Listen, we know you're not telling us everything. I got a pretty good idea why.
This particular murder occurred in front of a house that has a history with the police department. It's known to be a crack house.
All right, you're free to go. But I want you to think about everything that happened here tonight. And if you can remember any names or details, give me a call.
Yes, sir. You got it.
Scappy is not chargeable with an offense. It's not against the law to drive around at 2 o'clock in the morning. He is a witness. Nothing more, nothing less.
Think he'll drop you a line once he gets his head straight?
That's unlikely. Why don't we pay a visit to the house next door?
Crack house? Hard to get a warrant this time of night.
Now, we don't need a warrant to knock on the door and ask a few questions.
True. Worth a shot.
We don't know exactly why those shots were fired, so all options are on the table.
Kenda, Grimes, what's cracking, fellas?
How's life, Smitty?
What are y'all doing out here? I ain't done nothing wrong.
We recognize the individual. We recognize him from prior drug raids, and that can be to our advantage. If they know we're not after them, they'll share information.
We're investigating a shooting. You know anything about that?
I heard some gunshots.
That's it? Come on, Smitty. It's getting late. We don't have time to play games.
He kind of shrugs his shoulders. Well, I heard somebody was honking their horn really incessantly, and there was a disturbance and a bunch of yelling.
Seen his blue car. Damn well what they was up to.
And what was that?
They was selling dope, duh. I heard them to get off my street and go sell somewhere else. I told them people here, only be buying from me.
The response back, according to Smitty, was these individuals told him to, quote, F off, or they're gonna mess him up.
I ain't trying to get into it with him, though, so I went back in the house.
Nobody wants to talk to the police, and the way to avoid that is not see anything and not get involved.
Did you get a look at anybody inside the car?
Nah.
Did you get a license plate?
Sorry, detectives. I ain't got nothing for you.
All right, Smitty. But if you feel like talking, you know where to find us.
Whatever.
So, despite our efforts at this point, we still don't know what happened. But Ricky has a family that lives in this same neighborhood. We have to inform them anyway of the loss of Ricky, and it's an opportunity to see what they may know.
We're very sorry for your loss.
I was always afraid something like this would happen.
Ricky's father knows where Ricky's been most of his life. Ricky runs with some bad people, he said.
He did some time a few months back for robbery. But lately he said he was trying to stay on the right side of the law.
Did he have a drug problem?
I don't know. And I don't want to know.
That's a common attitude in some parents. Stick your head in the sand and it all goes away.
Can you think of anyone that might have wanted to harm him?
All I can think of was some LA boys.
LA? As in Los Angeles?
Yeah. Them LA gangbangers has been hanging around town lately.
This was the time when we were seeing a lot of gangbangers from outside of the area coming into Colorado Springs.
Ricky had several run-ins with them people. About a month ago, not long after he got out of prison, there was a couple of them parked up by the elementary school down the street.
What's up, brother? Yeah, I got something what you need.
He explains that Ricky sees there's this dark blue car, and Ricky gets upset. It's not right to be selling drugs around these kids.
Hey, yo, y'all need to move on up out of here.
What you say, fool?
You heard me, man. You can't sell dope in front of a damn school.
And so Ricky went up and confronted these guys. They didn't take that very well.
He got out of the car and jumped. Beat him up pretty bad.
What we now know is the blue car seems to be legitimately involved in this.
You need to talk to his girlfriend, Kathy, about it.
She was there when he got shot. Does she know the LA boys in the blue car?
Thank you. We'll let ourselves out.
Does she know somebody's name? It's time to find out. We're trying to determine who gunned down Ricky Nelson. We've had information about run-ins with a couple guys in a blue car. Now we're hopeful that his girlfriend can shed some real light on this.
Go and have a seat.
Thank you.
Ricky's girlfriend was at the scene at the time of the shooting. She's had time to calm down. We interview her at the police station.
I know how hard this must be for you.
It still feels like a bad dream.
We had a connection on every level, and I knew that he was the guy for me for the rest of my life.
It all started when we saw Scappy on the side of the road.
Ricky and I had just come from the movies, and we were in the car driving.
Hey, yo, Scappy, what's good, man?
Ricky, hey, man, can you give me a ride?
Yeah, sure, hop in.
So Scappy got in the back seat, and Ricky drove over to this one particular house.
Man, you looking to cop some crack?
Look, I'll be quick. I appreciate this, man.
Just hurry up.
Yeah.
It'll be all right, okay?
He convinces Ricky to take him to Smitty's house where he's going to buy or try to buy a $20 rock of crack cocaine.
Oh,
What?
It's those fools from LA again.
And so what does Scappy do? He walks up to this car and starts talking to these guys.
Come on, Scappy.
Kathy explains to us that she doesn't really have a clear view of what's going on. She then hears a disturbance.
Damn it. I'll be right back.
No, Ricky, no, baby. Come on, please stay out of it.
And Ricky got out of the car to go break up a fight.
I couldn't quite tell what was being said, but I could detect the animosity and the anger in it. Next thing I know, I heard gunshots.
Ricky, oh my God. Oh my God, are you shot? Are you shot?
Ricky came and got back in the car, and he leaned over, he held my hand, and he said, just hold me.
Please! Please someone help me, my boyfriend's a shot! Please someone help!
Ricky did not deserve to die.
Can you tell us anything about the guys in the blue car?
Have you guys talked to Scappy yet? I mean, I think he knew them. He said their names were Wade and Albert.
No. Scappy didn't mention any names.
All right, again, thank you for talking to us. We're very sorry about your boyfriend.
Thank you.
So now we have a huge step forward. Now we know it's Wade and Albert in a blue car.
Albert? I wonder if that's Albert Meadows.
He got arrested near Smitty's house 2 months ago in another shooting.
You know what? Let me pull his file. I'll be right back.
He pulls a photograph of Albert Meadows.
Here's the guy Albert was with. His name's Wade Douglas.
So Albert and Wade are now Albert Meadows and Wade Douglas. Now we're hitting on all 8 cylinders.
Our next step in this investigation is to interview Scappy. We know that Scappy is not very forthcoming with what he did know.
Do you mind giving us the whole story this time?
Yeah, of course. You know me.
She says Ricky gave him a ride. He wanted to go somewhere, wouldn't say where that was.
So we pulled up to a house, and down the street, we see a blue car that belonged to these 2 boys Ricky has beef with. So I went over to talk to him to see if I can get it sorted out. But then one of them boys take a swing at me.
He says he was drunk. He can't really defend himself that well. But Ricky got a tire iron out of the trunk and ran over to break up the fight.
Next thing I know, one of them starts firing shots, and Ricky got hit.
Do you think you could identify the 2 guys in the blue car?
I don't know, maybe.
Recognize anybody from the blue car?
We show Scappy these 2 photo lineups.
Him. The boy right there?
He immediately picks Albert Meadows. Said, that's the guy I got in a fight with.
But he ain't the dude that shot Ricky. It was the other one.
Okay.
We show him the second lineup. He spends a great deal of time looking at the photographs of Wade Douglas.
Nah, I don't recognize nobody.
Okay, so what's he doing? He's giving us enough to complicate things, not enough to be specific, not enough to be truly useful.
Okay, Mr. Walker, fair enough. You're free to go.
Be safe. We don't want those guys finding you.
What you mean?
When you say, we have no reason to arrest anybody yet, you won't provide us with one. So they're out there probably waiting for you to walk out of this building. So you have a nice evening, Scappy.
Wait, let me see those photos again.
He decides that maybe I'm right. This time he takes the second photo lineup back from us, points at Wade Douglas.
The guy right there, he's the one who shot Ricky.
Okay. Thanks for your help.
The next step in our investigation now is to find Albert and Wade. The records list an address for each individual. When we go, we find out that they're no longer there.
So where are they now? Well, who knows where they are.
But it doesn't take long for detectives to catch a break.
The officers that work that particular area, they are aware of active warrants for murder for these guys, and they also are aware that these guys frequent that area.
Have a blue Cadillac approaching the target house, California tag.
They're aware of a blue car being involved.
Driver's getting out, black male, braids, dark shirt, walking towards target house.
And he's able to see an individual that matches Albert's description entering Smitty's crack house.
Albert has surfaced. We have a chance to arrest him. So we call Tactical Enforcement Unit. We can kick in the front door if we have to. But we're going to get in that house. We have progressed in this investigation from 2 unknown guys in a blue car to Albert Meadows and Wade Douglas as being the people responsible for the death of Ricky Nelson. We believe we know the location of Albert Meadows, who's thought to be in the known crack house in the neighborhood where Ricky was killed.
The tactical enforcement team, our SWAT team, will execute the search warrant.
Let's get him.
They can gain entry and gain control in a house in less than 10 seconds. They look like what they are, death on a high horse.
Colorado Springs Police Department, open up!
They roll up there, nobody opens the door, they take the door off the hinges.
Breach it, breach it! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Get down, get down, get down, get down!
Get down! Get down! Let me see your hands! Let me see your hands! Let me see your hands!
Smitty's crack house. Looks like a war zone.
Get on the ground, now! Get on the ground!
Take it easy, man.
All of you, down, now!
Stay where you are.
There's always narcotics in plain view in crack houses. There's no time to flush everything down a toilet.
Hands over your head, stay put.
So the people present in that building, including Albert Meadows, get arrested.
Stand up.
Meadows for murder,
Give me the right hand.
the other three for possession with intent to dispense controlled substance.
Detective Kenda. Hey, this guy, he claims to know where the suspect is.
All right, thank you.
We get word from these people in this crack house because they are more than willing to tell us anything to avoid going to jail, that they know that Wade Douglas has fled to his mother's house outside of St. Louis, Missouri.
We share with the St. Louis Police Department that we have an active arrest warrant for an individual and ask them to check his parents' residence.
They go out and arrest Wade Douglas and place him in custody in their jail. He waived extradition and he agreed to be extradited back to Colorado.
Later that week, detectives sit Wade Douglas down for some answers.
I'm telling you, it was all self-defense. Those guys are going to kill me.
Okay, Wade. We want to hear your side of the story. Why don't you tell us what happened?
All right. So we was parked up there by that crack house.
Yeah, I know that fool. What's his name? Scrappy?
No, Scrappy or whatever.
Yeah, Scrappy, man. Hey, yo, what's up?
Wade Douglas says he and his friend Albert Meadows were parked on the street when a person he knows as Scappy knocked on their window and wanted to buy crack cocaine.
You guys got in there robbed. Get in.
He gets in the back seat and he tries to negotiate a price. He wants a discount for the crack cocaine he wants to buy.
Come on, you know me. We cool. How about you give me a friends and family discount?
Hey, tripping.
Hey, bro. Pay up and get out.
It's getting a little heated because they keep telling him we're not going to discount anything. You got to pay the price.
Who the hell you with, man? Hey, you know him. It's my boy. Come on. Give it to me for a 20 spot.
We're sitting there arguing. And then this guy Smitty comes out. And he's hollering at us.
Hey, I gotta set up shop somewhere else. You can't be parking out here.
Get out of here, old man.
Come on, get the hell out of here, bitch.
Go off, Grandpa, before you really regret coming out here.
We tell him to leave us alone. But then Scappy went and did something stupid.
You know what? If you guys ain't gonna sell it to me, I'll just go and buy it from them old man.
Wade says that Albert Meadows got out of the car.
Smitty don't sell dope in this neighborhood. Only we sell dope in this neighborhood. Come on, man.
And he punches Scappy in the mouth, and a fight gets underway.
So what I tell you, fool, you much. I'll be right back.
No, Ricky, no, come on, stay out of it, baby.
Ricky's pissed. He's been assaulted by these guys twice now, and maybe it's time for some payback. So he goes to the trunk of his car, gets a tire iron, and goes to break up the fight.
Ricky is now armed with a deadly weapon. As he approaches this group, no one's fighting with Ricky. They're fighting with Scappy, and Ricky escalates it by introducing a weapon.
You want some too?
Once the fight broke up, Ricky then walked towards Wade, saying, "Now it's your turn."
Wade Douglas then said he got out of the car and emptied the gun at Ricky.
Get up, bro. Come on, get up.
Ricky, oh my God. Oh my God, are you shot?
Just over.
Ricky then returned back to his car, touches his chest, sees the blood, and he dies.
Please, someone help me. My boyfriend's shot.
He looked at me in my eyes and he said, always remember 2 things. First, to always take care of yourself. And the second is that I love you very much. Ricky's hand went back like this and he was gone.
I had to protect myself. I swear I didn't have any choice, man.
Wade Douglas admits that he shot Ricky Nelson, and he said he did so because Mr. Nelson was armed with a tire iron and was advancing toward him aggressively, and he shot him as a result.
No, that's not up to us. That's up to the prosecutors. Go ahead and cuff him.
Come on, man. What are you talking about?
Stand up.
This ain't right. This ain't right, man.
True.
Wade was initially charged with second-degree murder. During the trial, he was subsequently acquitted by the jury, who felt that he clearly had the right to protect himself and that Ricky was a threat with a tire iron. Albert, even though initially involved in the fight, he was not involved directly in the shooting. He was not charged with any wrongdoing.
He really was the love of my life. I'd be happily married now if he wasn't gone. Every day, I live with the memory of what was and the reality of what will never be.
Ricky Nelson was certainly not a priest. Did he deserve to die? No one should be killed because of poor choices they make.
Coming up, a blood-soaked crime scene leads to more questions than answers.
This, by no means, is a typical homicide case.
Hey, man, what are you doing?
And it took some effort to discover the truth.
It's a typical Saturday morning. 16-year-old Jessica Barnes is on her way to work at the Chapel Hills Mall.
Hey, good morning, Ed.
Nice to see you, Jessica.
You too.
And when she gets to the shoe store that she works in,
Hey, Robert. Are you in there?
the chainmail is still down in front of it. She's expecting that the store manager is there.
Robert! That's weird.
So she's wondering, why hasn't he opened the door up yet?
Robert, I'm here.
So she takes her store keys and goes around to the back of the store to unlock the door. When Jessica goes inside,
Robert, where are you?
she sees her manager's bag sitting there and she thinks, wow, maybe he is here. He just hasn't turned the lights on yet.
Robert? Robert!
As she's calling out for her manager, she all of a sudden slips on something on the floor.
Ew, what? Robert! Oh my God!
It is her manager lying face down on the floor, and he's the one who's bleeding.
A short time later, Kenda and his team arrive on the scene.
When I first arrived, there were several uniformed officers, a mall security guy, and a young detective named Tanner.
Gentlemen?
Hey, Joe. It's a rough one. I don't think I've ever seen so much blood.
Really? Yeah. So what do we got?
Single victim, deceased, 34-year-old Robert Kelly. He's the manager of a shoe store. A 16-year-old kid who works for him found his body.
It is his custom to open the store for business every morning at 10. So the question now is, what has interrupted him from this routine?
Is manner death?
Still unclear. No weapons or casings nearby. A coroner's on the way, though, so hopefully we'll know soon. You want to have a look inside in the meantime?
Yeah, let's see what we're dealing with. Wow, you weren't kidding about the blood.
It's just incredible. It looked like this guy had been murdered by Jack the Ripper.
Glad I didn't wear my new shoes today.
I ruined a pair of shoes in the course of being in this place. There's no other way to get close to him but to step in blood.
It looks like the slope of the floor caused the blood to pool that way.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Malls are built with a slight downward cant to the floor. The reason is if their sprinkler system goes off, the building won't flood. This guy is downhill ever so slightly, and gravity allowed the contents of his body to empty onto this floor.
Looks like he's been dead for a while.
But look at the blood, I'd say a good 8 to 12 hours probably.
If blood is fresh in color, it is a crimson red. Over time, it turns black, and we have almost reached black. So we're wondering what happened to him.
This would be odd happening at Chapel Hills Mall. People would be shocked and surprised.
Well, they've got cameras.
All right, let's get someone to pull the tapes.
I'm on it.
Cameras at that time in the 90s, they used videotape. Because everybody's concerned about the dollar when it comes to business, they use, reuse, and abuse tapes. The fact that it's there doesn't mean it's going to be useful.
It's hard to tell with all the blood, but I didn't see any wounds on him.
Yeah, I don't either. Let's wait till the coroner gets here. We can roll him over, take a closer look.
The blood can actually cover up all sorts of other injuries. So I would be concerned that there's a gunshot wound, that there's a stab wound, potentially in the neck or upper chest.
But before the coroner arrives, Kenda catches sight of a notable clue.
When a body dies standing erect, your feet will cross over each other. It's called a dead man's fall. He was dead standing up and fell literally dead to the floor.
Any idea if anything's missing? Cash, merchandise?
First thing I did when I got here was check the register. It's filled with cash.
So the likely explanation is it's not a robbery.
And there you go, sir. Thank you. You have a great rest of your day.
But what if our man has an enemy who gets in the shoe store, and when the manager's distracted, he walks around the corner and goes in the back? What if he's lying in wait in the darkness in this office when the manager turned out the lights?
Hey, man, what are you doing?
The enemy takes his revenge. Now that works better for me than robbery.
Is the kid that found her still here?
Yeah, patrol's holding on to her.
Good. Let's talk to her, see if she can shed any light on any of this.
The first step in any homicide investigation is who is the victim? What do they do? Where do they go? The victimology is critical.
Jessica, I know what a terrible shock this is and how hard it must be for you. But do you think you could answer a few questions for us?
I don't know.
Jessica Barnes, 16 years old. She's never seen anything like this. She's never...
What do you guys want to know?
What can you tell us about Robert? Was he a good boss?
Yeah, I mean, I only work here once a week, but I can't imagine why anyone would want to do this. Robert was a sweetheart.
She describes Robert as kind of this teddy bear guy. He's a big guy, over 6 feet tall, over 200 pounds, but he's very gentle.
You ever see him argue with a customer or maybe another employee?
No, I mean, he just kept to himself.
She said he's very dedicated, but sometimes he'll just go in the back for a while. But it's not my place to question him. He's the manager.
Detective Kenda, sorry to interrupt, but Jessica's mother's here.
Okay, I think we got enough for now. Thanks for your help, Jessica.
Okay.
I'll walk her out and let her mom know what's going on.
One other thing, We checked the security cameras. They're not working. They're not even hooked up.
Figures.
The cameras, they're there for show. You find that in a lot of places where they don't want to invest in something that might solve a crime.
On the plus side, the coroner's here.
All right, thank you.
We now have an opportunity to view the front of this body to find out what it is that killed this guy. We're going to see wounds. We're going to see something that produced this blood.
He died?
Hey, Lieutenant. Just judging from the blood color and the temperature in this room, I think he's been dead up to 12 hours.
What about the cause of death?
I don't see anything yet. Still need to roll him, though. He's kind of a big fella. You mind giving me a hand?
My thought was the shoes are already ruined, so why not? There is a meaning to dead weight, so it's very hard to turn him, but we do it.
1, 2, 3.
When we turn him, his face is crushed, and it is a brilliant shade of royal purple. He's not a handsome person at this moment.
Forward.
There's a couple of young officers, and there's an intake of breath when they see his face, because they probably hadn't seen that before.
Wow.
The face is obviously a source of blood. There's got to be more to this than just the face. I'm kind of looking around.
Well, that explains a few things.
And I see something I didn't expect to see. We're investigating the death of 34-year-old Robert Kelly, the manager of a shoe store in the Chapel Hills Mall. We have turned him over, and we are getting into the probable cause of death that had been a mystery.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
When we roll him over, what I see lodged in his arm is a hypodermic needle in a vein, and it's plunged, meaning that it's been used. Whatever liquid was contained within it is now inside this body.
He's got track marks all over him.
There's needle tracks on his arm. He's a user. Nobody killed him. He killed him.
Go find Detective Tanner and search the premises for any signs of drug paraphernalia.
Yes, sir.
You see any other wounds besides his face?
Well, I need to get him back to the morgue and do an exam, but I don't see anything. I think he was standing, overdosed, and fell over.
It's not that uncommon for us to see injuries from what we call a terminal collapse. They fall and can have skull fractures, which can cause bleeding.
This is a 250-pound man falling at 32 feet per second. When you strike a floor like that, with that kind of weight behind you, your face is going to shatter like an egg, and his did.
Hey, Joe, we got something in the back office.
Well, once investigators start looking around, they find a charred spoon, a lighter, some white powder.
Seems pretty clear it's cocaine he was injecting.
Think back to what Miss Barnes had to say. He disappears for a while in the back. Then he comes out again.
I think Robert probably had a very serious addiction, given the fact that he's using it at work.
I wonder if his family knows he had this kind of addiction.
I mean, we'll find out. One of our guys tracked down his mother's address. She doesn't know about his drug habit. She's about to.
We go to see his mother. We have to tell her that Robert's not coming home anymore. He has a horrible reaction. Your children are supposed to bury you,
Please tell me you're joking.
not the other way around.
I'm very sorry.
My baby. Baby's gone.
There's a hole in your heart that will never heal, no matter what the reason.
I never saw him taking drugs of any kind.
It's very common in users. They conceal their use from their family. Their greatest fear is to be discovered.
Had you noticed any change in him?
Well, he used to always talk about starting his own business, but he had a bad breakup with a long-term girlfriend a few years ago.
She explains, when the girlfriend left him, he became depressed and his ambitions seemed to go away.
If I'd known he was taking drugs, I would have done something. I would have gotten him some help.
Robert's mother, poor thing, I mean, you'd feel kind of guilty in a way. It's like, why as a mother didn't I see that in my son? So it would make that death just even more difficult to handle.
A few days later, the coroner confirms the cause of death.
He had a massive amount of cocaine in his system, which led to cardiac arrhythmia. So essentially, he had a major heart attack.
Thanks, Doc. I appreciate it.
Be safe.
The heart locks up like a closed fist. It is in full-blown spasm. It's not working, and thus neither are you. We can conclude that the likely scenario is that Robert Kelly is conducting business as usual. And when the business closes, he drops the chainmail gate over the front of the store, goes into the office, organizes his paperwork, and conducts his nightly routine of using narcotics.
The fact that he had been using drugs so much that it probably never even crossed his mind that something so severe could happen to him.
He can stand there for a minute, and then it lights out, and he hits that floor like a ton of bricks.
It's possible that the heart is still pumping, but just in an inefficient manner, which could contribute to the volume of blood that was at the scene.
He laid there for 8 to 12 hours, and his body emptied itself onto that floor.
I feel sorry for Robert. He probably had dreams in his life, and to have to turn to drugs in that extreme to kind of get through each day, it's just a very sad situation.
He thought those drugs would solve his problems. Drugs only provide you with another problem, and it becomes fatal at some point. Unintentional, but death nonetheless.
No excrement, urine. So we looked around, and there was huge urine discoloration spots in the middle of the bed. The soiled mattress raises some questions. So I am thinking the amount of urine that it would take to soak through this mattress. Steve had to have been going to the bathroom in this bed for days. So we immediately thought we have to get this mattress out of the room. We could barely pick it up. It was extremely heavy. We took the mattress and we tossed it out of the house. When Rosie talks with Lana on the phone, she asks her, how did Steve get so ill? Hello? When I spoke with Lana much later in that evening, I asked her, what happened? And she said, he had not been feeling well for a few days. And I said, well, why did you not call somebody? Why did you not let somebody know? And she said, well, he was starting to feel better. She says Steve never called because he'd been sleeping heavily and misplaced his cell phone a week earlier. Lana claimed that it had been missing for several days. My brother was never, ever without his phone. He just was always attached to his phone. It went everywhere with him. It was at that point where I really felt like something very sinister was going on, and I did not know what it was. Steve's sister Rosie asks his widow Lana about his will. Steve and I had talked many times about what it was that he wanted to do when that time came, and he wanted to be buried in that beautiful cemetery in Fort Lauderdale. When I asked Lana, she said there is no will. Lana has already made the arrangements. Steve is due to be cremated, and she is planning his memorial. On August 4th, 2018, Lana holds a service for Steve at their home. It was highly emotional. Everybody there felt such a deep connection to Steve. It was just hard to stay calm. Even though it was supposed to be a celebration of his life, it just could not help but feel the deep, deep sorrow that everybody felt. If there's any space that it is okay to be sad and to cry a little bit, this is that time. And I think that it is okay today that we celebrate a life well lived, and at the same time be sad. At the memorial, Rosie and the family are surprised to find Lana has already started to clear out Steve's belongings. She had already began taking all of his clothes, all of his personal items, and she donated them all to the Veterans Affairs. I was almost knocked off my feet to see the number of hangers, empty hangers in that closet, with not a single stitch of clothes. A lot of watches missing, a lot of jewelry missing. His wedding ring was missing, and Lana's claims about Steve not having will raise his further suspicions. That is something that Steve and many other people had discussed, was how important it was to make sure that everything was in order. There is absolutely no logic in my brother, an accountant, a person who is meticulous with his finances, not having a will. The family feel like something is not adding up. We are all on the same page here. We know something is going on. And that was when we called the medical examiner's office and said, hey, please do an autopsy. And at the very least, if you're not going to do that, do a toxicology. And they agreed to it. Detective Moats of the York County Sheriff's Office is also notified of the family's suspicions about Steve's death. Good morning, everybody. But when the autopsy report comes in, it lists signs of heart disease and points to death by natural causes. Ah, yes, thank you. The initial autopsy still shows that it is likely a heart attack. But they have to wait for the toxicologist report to come back to finally make an actual finding. It will take a few weeks before those results arrive. So we waited on pins and needles for the truth to come out. We just knew that there was something was very wrong. Thank you. When the toxicology report on Steve Clayton's blood comes back, it is shocking. It shows traces of several sedatives, including marijuana, temazepam, and Benadryl. But that is not all. The biggest shock in the toxicology results was tetrahydrozoline, also known as THZ. It is the active ingredient in eye drops like Visine, Murine, or other over-the-counter eye drops. THZ is not ever meant to be ingested. Given in small doses, it makes you feel very ill. It makes you nauseous. It makes you dizzy. It will make you pass out eventually. But in large quantities, it is deadly. It shuts your central nervous system down, and it will kill you. The detectives learned that THZ can limit the blood supply to vital organs, leading to a heart attack. When the body chem goes up there, the Visine you see is on the tall dresser. That is away from the bed. That is where he cannot get up to get the Visine. Now it is very clear. This is not a natural death. Detective Moats needs to have a talk with Lana Clayton. 5 weeks after the sudden death of her husband, Lana Clayton is questioned by detectives. You know, if you were a witness in this case for us, the detectives want to know more about the medications found in Steve's blood. You know what he would say? He took Benadryl. It is a long list, but there is no mention of THC, the drug that killed Steve. It is colorless, it is odorless, and it is tasteless, which makes it the perfect thing to give to someone if you want to poison them. The level of THC in Steve's blood was so high that it was clear that it was the cause of death. It is a lethal level. No matter what way you look at it, the detectives press on. Somehow or another, there was a large amount of Visine in his system. So that is what we are trying to get to the bottom of. I know he puts a Visine in his coffee. He puts it in there every day. What do you know about it? What I know about it? I know it makes you have diarrhea. There are basically two things that the police are now considering. One, he is poisoned. There's foul play. Two, he ingested it on his own, whether it was intentional or unintentional. But as police probe Steve and Lana's relationship, how has your life been? Sometimes we would have fun and everything. And then sometimes I would be on eggshells. All the time I was on eggshells. Lana claims that Steve had a dark side. He can be really nasty. What does nasty Steve look like? He is really verbally abusive, calling me names. Like what would he call you? I do not know. Stupid bitch. I do not know. Just all kinds of things. I could see it escalating until you notice just, try and stay out of his way. After Lana's interview, detectives order a search of the house. They're looking for cups or glasses that have a residue in them. They're looking for anything they can find that helps them determine what could have caused this. Anything document-wise that would show trouble in the marriage. But during that time, Lana tells the officer that she wants to speak again with Detective Moats. Detective Moats records what Lana has to say. I told you a little bit about Steven. That was worse than what I told you. He was verbally and physically abusive. Lana, for God's sake, and yell at me and call me names. His anger built up, you know. I would do something that would irritate him until the point where he would explode. Okay, what are you trying to do, huh? After he had that incident, which he said it was vertigo and I was taking care of him and everything, but I was still so angry. And my girlfriend at work told me, you want to get even with somebody, you know, put Visine in a drink. It will cause diarrhea. It is then that Lana drops a bombshell. When I saw that Visine on the table, it just came back to me and I just took and squirted it. And what did you squirt it into? His water. Into his water? So you do not know the full amount. I mean, you just squeezed. I think I put the whole thing in. So the whole bottle? I think I did. I squeezed it hard. I just saw it there and I just did it. What are your plans tonight now? Just stay here. You will be okay. I know it is a lot on your plate. Just what if I do? What if I cause his death with the Visine? Anything else that you want to add? No. If there is more, you know, get off your chest. That is it. It is a damning confession. But the detectives cannot arrest Lana just yet. After Lana confessed, the police left. They got their ducks in a row as far as what charges would be made. And they were ready to come back the next day to arrest Lana Clayton. But early that morning, they get a call from one of Lana's neighbors. They found notes of suicide. They are afraid that she has harmed herself. She knew the police were coming back the next day, and she knew they would have warrants for arrest. She turned the gas on and went upstairs and took some pills to kill herself. They find her unconscious in her bed. She is taken into the hospital where she is treated and ultimately released, and then immediately arrested on the charges of murder and tampering with food items. The family is informed of Lana's arrest. A detective from York County called me and said, "Hey, Nick, you know, I just want to bring you up to speed here." Lana confessed, and I pulled over right away. It hit me like a ton of bricks, literally like a baseball bat to the face. I answered the phone, and Rosie was on the other end screaming that she killed him. On January 16th, 2020, Lana accepts a plea deal and admits guilt on charges of voluntary manslaughter and tampering with a drug or food product. The original indictment was for murder. You were pleading to a lesser offense, voluntary manslaughter. My own knowledge of it was by watching movies and the cause of discomfort and diarrhea. Lana insists she never intended for Steve to die and just wanted revenge for his abuse. But his friends and family do not buy that Steve was ever abusive. She tries to assassinate Steve's character because other people who knew him and who he had mentored came forward to say he was a wonderful person. There was no abuse of any sort with Steven. She was trying to do whatever she could to save herself from a very, very, very long sentence and possibly the death penalty. But he was a gentle soul, not capable of harming someone. Based on the toxicology report, the prosecutors believe Steve suffered for 3 days before dying. Lana tells us that the fatal dose was on Thursday morning. But we know as a matter of scientific fact from the toxicologist that is impossible. He would have died Thursday morning if he had ingested that Thursday morning. For him to have been sick all of that time, it indicates that she continually gave him medication throughout that time, poisoned him with Visine little by little. And Lana, a nurse, never sought to help him after the initial poisoning. Stephen would not have stayed in a urine-soaked mattress. He was a clean freak. He would not have stood for such a thing. He is too weak to get up and move. There is no phone in the house. There is no landline, so he cannot call somebody. So this puts him in a situation of being tortured with no way to get help. And so finally she knew Saturday, that is it. And she squeezed that whole bottle of Visine into his water, had him drink it, and then goes out to mow the grass. So she did not have to watch the horror of his death. Instead of a nurse that helps, she is the nurse from hell. 53-year-old Lana Clayton is sentenced to 25 years in prison. She never admitted that she intended to kill Steve, but the facts show otherwise. I feel like there is no penalty that would have been great enough for Lana. This is 3 days of methodically poisoning my best friend and then killing him. The thought process that had to go into her putting on the charade, and she carried that right on through till the end. And I think that is the definition of a monster. But Lana almost got away with it. There almost was not an autopsy. If there had not been an autopsy, the ruling of the coroner would have been this was likely a heart episode, and it was natural causes. The truth is she did this to herself, you know. Had she been just the same, quiet, gentle Lana, grieving the loss of Steve, no one would have had any suspicion whatsoever. Although Lana insists Steve's death was unintentional. His family and the prosecution believe it was a deliberate act motivated by financial gain. One obvious and glaring motive is Steve's wealth. Without a will in the state of South Carolina, everything goes to the spouse. So Lana would know if Steve is gone, I get everything. If somebody wanted to do something malicious like this, all they had to do was get rid of the will, and everything belonged to them. The family tried to move on without Steve in their lives. Hello. I mean, I miss a lot about Steve, but I miss his voice. I miss hearing his voice. This is my way of, getting away from the emotional stuff. I think what I miss about Steve is his over-the-top personality. This big, boisterous, gregarious character that enters a room and just takes over everything. Steve was an amazing person. It has been difficult not having him around. The thing I miss the most about Steve is his laughter and his ability to light up a room. Steven was stolen from everyone who loved him. Steve was stolen from everyone who loved him. This is a story of a successful and generous businessman. Hello, who meets a nurse with a heart as big as his own. She struck me as being very quiet, but very sweet and very nice, and falls head over heels. He could not hide the feelings he had for her. He was very much in love with her. But when a sickness consumes their marriage, we just knew that there was something was very wrong. Money is no protection. This is not a natural death. Welcome. Tonight we celebrate the joining of two wonderful people. It is March 10th, 2007 in Miami. A big day for bride Rosemary Clayton and her family. She is finally marrying her love, William Leslie. That is Rosie's oldest brother, 52-year-old Steve Clayton. Proudly walking her down the aisle. 11 months prior to my wedding, we lost our dad. I asked my brother if he would step in. Of course, there was a lot of tears. I could not imagine anybody else standing in place for my dad. Who gives this woman to be married to this man? I do in the memory of my father. It was sentimental to be gathered at something so special, where my dad was not present. With their father's passing, Rosie's brother Steve is now the head of the family. And though he has never had children of his own, he has always been a father figure to his siblings. When my father and mother were married, Steve was just about 2 or 3 years old. He had 4 sisters, and I am the youngest. He was 10 years older than me. So there really was not a moment when Steve was not in my life. Steve was my big brother, and he was my hero. He was everything a little girl would want in a big brother. He played football. He wrestled in high school. And so that really made him bigger than life for me. After high school, Steve graduates college with a degree in finance and quickly matures into a shrewd businessman. Steve, with a partner, started a company called Physical Therapy Resources. That eventually became a national company with physical therapy centers all over the country. Steve and I met at work. He was in the hospital, and I was in the same hospital. And that is how we met and became friends. He was very successful and eventually sold his interest in his business. And basically from that point on, he was retired. His goal was to retire at the age of 40. He missed it by 1 year. He retired when he was 41. Selling his business frees up Steve to do whatever he wants. And what he wants to do is give back. He would mentor such a large group of young men, helping them start up a business or helping them find out what direction they want their life to go. Steve was extremely generous with not only his resources, but with his time. And Steve always has time for his family. Rosie films as Steve teases their Uncle Max. It is special. My dad was not so funny. He was more serious. Serious, much more serious. He was always serious. But where did that money come from, Steve? I do not know. And when his sister Rosie gets married, it is Steve's good humor that makes him the life and soul of the occasion. Please get up, Steve. Plate. Steve was always the first guy to get up to give a toast anywhere. Hello, hello, hello. It was always ad-lib for him from the heart. This is my way of getting away from the emotional stuff. William, thank you so much. I am not going to look at you. Thank you so much for making my sister so happy. And my dad. Steve is never one to hide his emotions. My dad told me before he passed to take care of my sister, to honor you, and he loved you very much. I have to get serious here. All right, I am cool. All right, you guys are great companions. You are great partners. And my sister, I have never seen her happier. After the speeches, Steve steps up for the father-daughter dance. He came up, and we got ready to dance. And before the music started, we had a very, very powerful moment. A surprise recording of their dearly departed father plays out. The best moment of my day was when you were climbing my knee. You would say, "Daddy, I love you." I miss those days. I really do. Because I love you too. He had so many duties that day. He was my dad. He was the best man. He was the entertainment. He was the one that kept everyone calm, kept everyone laughing. He was a natural at it. Despite his success and close network of family and friends, Steve's own romantic life has been rocky. He looked for a partner that was as focused and determined and loving and caring as he was, and that is a tall order to fill. Now 52, his family figures it will take a very special person to sweep him off his feet. I think Steve was always looking for somebody on a level he could connect with emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. But 3 years later, that is exactly what happens. In late 2009, Steve decides to leave his home state of Florida for a change of pace in North Carolina. He really loved being physical. He loved walking. He loved anything to do with being outdoors. So when he moved from South Florida to North Carolina, he had the opportunity to be outdoors a lot more. Within just a few months, Steve announces that he has met someone special. He seemed to have a glow that he had been missing for a little while, and he was excited. Her name is Lana Walsh, 12 years his junior. She is a nurse who grew up in Oklahoma. She struck me as being very sweet, very quiet, but very sweet. And this quiet kind of stood out because Steve is not very quiet. Steve's personality was gigantic. She was more like a wallflower. Despite their differences, Steve is sure she is the one. They were very affectionate with each other, always arm in arm. Steve always hugging her, squeezing her, kissing her. I felt happy for my brother. So, of course, anybody that he loved, I was going to embrace. It is not long before Steve asked Lana to move in with him. After they got to know each other quite a bit more, Steve persuaded her to come to Charlotte. And you know, Steve can be very convincing. And they add some new additions to the family. The first dog that Steve and Lana got was Guinness, an Italian greyhound. They loved the breed, and so they decided that they wanted another one, and her name was Sadie. With Lana, Steve finally feels he has found his missing piece. Steve always had great things to say about her. He referred to her as his Lana Sue. He could not hide the feelings he had for her. He was very much in love with her. I think Steve found himself well-grounded with Lana. I felt like Steve found a certain sense of peace with her. Steve Clayton came to North Carolina for a change from his old life and found a whole new future. When Steve Clayton danced with his sister at her wedding, he dreamed of finding his own special someone. And now, 6 years later, he is about to marry the love of his life, a veteran administration nurse named Lana Walsh. It was a lovely day in November 2013. Many of us had traveled to North Carolina just to be there and enjoy that day with him, and he made it very special for everyone. Lana and Steve's wedding took place at their house in Charlotte. It was such a beautiful event. You could just see the love. Just beaming, both of them were. Soon after, the couple decided to relocate and move into their forever home. just over the border in South Carolina, on the banks of Lake Wylie. It was like something on a postcard. This gorgeous ocean blue home, sitting on a gorgeous piece of lakefront property. It was very lovely. The couple set about refurbishing their new home, decorating it with Steve's collection of artworks and antiques. Steve was the kind of person that objects were very personal to him, and he was very proud of his possessions. They were all unique in some way. The move allows the couple to indulge in their love of nature. So if there was something fun and outdoors to do, he was going to be the first one there, and he was gung-ho about it. Their relocation to South Carolina also means the pair are closer to Steve's extended family. I married Steve's niece in 2010, so I officially became his nephew. We hung out with Steve and Lana a lot when they moved up here. We would go out to dinner with them. We would go to concerts. We would go to special events every holiday. They are also just a 30-minute drive from Lana's son and grandchildren, and the pair never say no to a bit of babysitting. Steve had a way with children because Steve has always been a child at heart. So he is the kind of guy that gets down on the floor and plays with the kids. Pop goes the weasel. And with the kids around, there is never a dull moment in the Clayton household. Here, Lana filmed Steve attempting to describe the limbo while her twin granddaughters watch. We will make Papa do it. So there's a stick, and I gotta go like that. And I gotta go under the stick. And I gotta get real low to get under the stick. It is a game. It is a dance. These are dances. You have to tell me how to act it out. Lana is tickled, but the twins are more interested in their ice cream. Steve enjoyed playing all kinds of games, whether it was Scrabble or even a silly child's game. You want to get in, do you not? You do you not? Just spin the spinner and then turn the handles many times. 2, and put your head in the thing. Put your chin on the thing. Okay, A, E, D, F, spin it forward. Both of them, or one. Both of them. Steve was a huge teddy bear. They loved to play with him. He always had kids hanging on him. What number did you get? 3. And Lana is always game for some fun, too. Oh no, it is coming. It is coming up. It does it every time. Here it comes. Here it comes. Cheers. 5 years into their marriage, Steve and Lana appear to be thriving. But in June 2018, Steve suddenly falls ill. He says he feels dizzy, complaining of vertigo. He said that his ear hurt and that he felt nauseous, and he started getting sick in the yard. And I felt real bad for him. I knew that he had had issues with vertigo. You know, prior to this, he said he had been very ill and did not know exactly what was wrong. He just remembers that he was working out in the garden, and he started to feel dizzy, a little nauseous, a little dizzy, headache, and he thought that maybe he had gotten sunstroke. You okay? Yeah. As a nurse, Lana thinks the best thing for Steve is bed rest. He said he remembered laying down, and he said the next time he opened his eyes was 36 hours had passed. Worried, Rosie calls Lana to see if she can explain Steve's mystery illness. I asked her what she thought was going on because that is very odd for any person of any age to lose 36 hours of time. And she said that he was fine and that she was watching him and she was making sure he was okay. Though he has never been ill like this before, Lana thinks that Steve is just exhausted. I felt reassured that Lana was there to take care of him in any way that she could, especially with her knowledge as a nurse. It seems Steve's larger-than-life energy is starting to catch up with him. But just 2 weeks later, it appears Lana's treatment has worked. Steve is back to his old self, throwing a party for the 4th of July. That party was just as great as every other party we had been to there. Steve was his normal affectionate self. Everybody had a great time. Here is Steve dancing with Lana as they celebrate in style. He grabbed Lana right away, and we just kind of followed suit and all joined in. I remember watching them hug and him kiss her, and they were completely in love. Things are good at the Clayton home. And no one doubts Lana and Steve's lives are going to be happy and long. On July 21st, 2018, a call comes into York County 911. Police units arrive on scene, and body cam footage recorded by responding Officer Sergeant Day captures what they find. As they walk in the front door, there's Steve right at the bottom of this grand staircase. And unfortunately, at that point, he is gone. He is dead. You hear him kind of whispering and talking in low voices. That is because Lana Clayton is just around the corner, distraught and crying. So they do not want to say anything that is disturbing to her. So she said she left the next day. Did not put anything, just his wife and family. Sergeant Day needs to talk with Steve's wife Lana to find out what has happened. Ma'am, I am Sergeant Day. I am going to be here for just a little while until the coroner gets here and transporting those things. Oh no, ma'am, I am just fine. It feels good to me to stand if I am not making you uncomfortable. Lana tells Sergeant Day that Steve had been suffering dizziness for 2 days. Stephen had been very ill with vertigo. She had found him Thursday morning that he stood up, got very dizzy and collapsed, that she had to help him upstairs, and since that time, he has not been back downstairs. Miss Clayton, you were outside. You were working outside? I was mowing the lawn real quick, and when I came in, I fell down. I am so sorry. I tried to take a blanket underneath me, but I could not. Despite her training, Lana was unable to render aid to Steve. That is when she, I think, really panics because she knows she cannot do anything further to help him. And so she immediately ran out when she heard the motorcycle coming by to wave someone down to call 911. Nephew Nick French is on duty as a police officer when he gets the news. My mom called and she said Uncle Steve died. And just kind of disbelief. I mean, I knew it was for real, but, it did not really sink in. So I got down there as quick as I could. I just remember the whole time going through my head was, how? Why? The phone rang, and I saw that it was my nephew calling. He said, Uncle Steve died. Uncle Steve died. That was not possible. It was not possible. How could he be gone? No, I cannot believe it. With Rosie 700 miles away, Nick and his family rally around Lana. I felt awful because I knew she loved Uncle Steve. And I just kept thinking, I am upset right now, but I cannot imagine what she's going through. To find her husband, on the ground like this. Lana fears Steve's vertigo could have caused a fall down the stairs. She kept saying that, I think he fell down the stairs, and that is horrible, and I hope he did not. Sergeant Day checks for any signs that Steve may have been attacked. This looked like it was probably a natural death, but you never know. So Sergeant Day does at that point go upstairs to look to see what has happened. That would be a little unnerving to just go through a labyrinth of a house that you had never seen before, because you never know what could be around the corner. You can tell that there does not appear to be a sign of struggle. No other signs of someone else being up there having done something to him. Nothing significant at all. In the master bedroom, the bed sheet is all rumpled up, but nothing to suggest Steve had any kind of struggle. It looks as if the cause of death will not be a mystery for the coroner. The coroner cannot see any contusions or bruises. Nothing suggests Steve fell down the staircase. So she put the floor under him? Yeah, she tried to move it. It looks as though Steve made it to the bottom of the stairs and then collapsed. The coroner said, I believe he had a heart attack. And I kind of said, what leads you to that opinion? And she said, well, the coloration of his face. There was blueness that went across the top of the chest, almost in a line. And that oftentimes, according to the coroner, is an indication that he may have had a heart attack. Back in the living room, Sergeant Day tells Lana what they think has happened. When I walked to the top of the stairs, I noticed that the carpet on the staircase kind of has a direction to it. So I can see footprints. I think he may have come to the bottom of the staircase. Do not dwell on the staircase, because I know that is a hard claim to make. I do not know how he made it. I do not know what he was thinking. I think this was the day God chose. That is what I told him. While Lana digest the news, Nick and his family helped with cleaning up. We wanted to make the house still comfortable enough for her. We knew she was going to be exhausted, and she had to spend the night there. But they are shocked at what they find in the bedroom. When we went upstairs, I immediately noticed a smell. It was a smell of human filth. Excrement, urine. So we looked around. and there was huge urine discoloration spots in the middle of the bed. The soil mattress raises some questions. So I am thinking the amount of urine that it would take to soak through this mattress. Steve had to have been going to the bathroom in this bed for days. So we immediately thought we have to get this mattress out of the room. We could barely pick it up. It was extremely heavy. We took the mattress and we tossed it out of the house. When Rosie talks with Lana on the phone, she asks her, how did Steve get so ill? Hello? When I spoke with Lana much later in that evening, I asked her, what happened? And she said, he had not been feeling well for a few days. And I said, well, why did you not call somebody? Why did you not let somebody know? And she said, well, he was starting to feel better. She says Steve never called because he'd been sleeping heavily and misplaced his cell phone a week earlier. Lana claimed that it had been missing for several days. My brother was never, ever without his phone. He just was always attached to his phone. It went everywhere with him. It was at that point where I really felt like something very sinister was going on, and I did not know what it was. Steve's sister Rosie asked his widow Lana about his will. Steve and I had talked many times about what it was that he wanted to do when that time came, and he wanted to be buried in that beautiful cemetery in Fort Lauderdale. When I asked Lana, she said there is no will. Lana has already made the arrangements. Steve is due to be cremated, and she is planning his memorial. On August 4th, 2018, Lana holds a service for Steve at their home. It was highly emotional. Everybody there felt such a deep connection to Steve. It was just hard to stay calm. Even though it was supposed to be a celebration of his life, it just could not help but feel the deep, deep sorrow that everybody felt. If there's any space that it is okay to be sad and to cry a little bit, this is that time. And I think that it is okay today that we celebrate a life well lived and at the same time be sad. At the memorial, Rosie and the family are surprised to find Lana has already started to clear out Steve's belongings. She had already began taking all of his clothes, all of his personal items, and she donated them all to the Veteran Administration. I was almost knocked off my feet to see the number of hangers. Empty hangers in that closet with not a single stitch of clothes. A lot of watches missing, a lot of jewelry missing. His wedding ring was missing. And Lana's claims about Steve not having a will raises further suspicions. That is something that Steve and Steve and many other people had discussed, was how important it was to make sure that everything was in order. There is absolutely no logic in my brother, an accountant, a person who is meticulous with his finances, not having a will. The family feel like something is not adding up. We are all on the same page here. We know something is going on. And that was when we called the medical examiner's office and said, hey, please do an autopsy. And at the very least, if you're not going to do that, do a toxicology. And they agreed to it. Detective Motes of the York County Sheriff's Office is also notified of the family's suspicions about Steve's death. Good morning, everybody. But when the autopsy report comes in, it lists signs of heart disease and points to death by natural causes. Ah, yes, thank you. The initial autopsy still shows that it is likely a heart attack, but they have to wait for the toxicologist report to come back to finally make an actual finding. It will take a few weeks before those results arrive. So we waited on pins and needles for the truth to come out. We just knew that there was something was very wrong. Thank you. When the toxicology report on Steve Clayton's blood comes back, it is shocking. It shows traces of several sedatives, including marijuana, temazepam, and Benadryl. But that is not all. The biggest shock in the toxicology results was tetrahydrozoline, also known as THC. It is the active ingredient in eye drops like Visine, Murine, or other over-the-counter eye drops. THC is not ever meant to be ingested. Given in small doses, it makes you feel very ill. It makes you nauseous. It makes you dizzy. It will make you pass out eventually. But in large quantities, it is deadly. It shuts your central nervous system down, and it will kill you. The detectives learned that THC can limit the blood supply to vital organs, leading to a heart attack. When the body Kim goes up there, the Visine you see is on the tall dresser. That is away from the bed. That is where he cannot get up to get the Visine. Now it is very clear. This is not a natural death. Detective Moats needs to have a talk with Lana Clayton. 5 weeks after the sudden death of her husband, Lana Clayton is questioned by detectives. You know, if you were a witness in this case for us, the detectives want to know more about the medications found in Steve's blood. You know what he would say? He took Benadryl. It is a long list. But there is no mention of THC, the drug that killed Steve. It is colorless. It is odorless, and it is tasteless, which makes it the perfect thing to give to someone if you want to poison them. The level of THC in Steve's blood was so high that it was clear that it was a cause of death. It is a lethal level, no matter what way you look at it. The detectives press on. Somehow or another there was a large amount of Visine in his system. So that is what we are trying to get to the bottom of. I know he puts a Visine in his coffee. He puts it in there every day. What do you know about it? What I know about it? I know it makes you have diarrhea. There are basically two things that the police are now considering. One, he is poisoned. There's foul play. Two, he ingested it on his own, whether it was intentional or unintentional. But as police probe Steve and Lana's relationship, how has your life been? Sometimes we would have fun and everything. And then sometimes I would be on eggshells. All the time I was on eggshells. Lana claims that Steve had a dark side. He can be really nasty. What does nasty Steve look like? He is really verbally abusive, calling me names. Like what would he call you? I do not know. Stupid bitch. I do not know. Just all kinds of things. I could see it escalating until you notice just, try and stay out of his way. After Lana's interview, detectives order a search of the house. They're looking for cups or glasses that have a residue in them. They're looking for anything they can find that helps them determine what could have caused this. Anything document-wise that would show trouble in the marriage. But during that time, Lana tells the officer that she wants to speak again with Detective Moats. Detective Moats records what Lana has to say. I told you a little bit about Steven. That was worse than what I told you. He was verbally and physically abusive. Lana, for God's sake, and yell at me and call me names. His anger built up, I would do something that would irritate him until the point where he would explode. Okay, what are you trying to do? Huh? After he had that incident, which he said it was vertigo, and I was taking care of him and everything. But I was still so angry. And my girlfriend at work told me, you want to get even with somebody, put Visine in a drink. It will cause diarrhea. It is then that Lana drops a bombshell. When I saw that Visine on the table, it just came back to me, and I just took and squirted it. And what did you squirt it into? His water. Into his water? So you do not know the full amount. You just squeezed. I think I put the whole thing in. So the whole bottle? I think I did. I squeezed it hard. I just saw it there, and I just did it. What are your plans tonight now? Just stay here. You will be okay. I know it is a lot on your plate. Just what if I do? What if I cause his death with the Visine? Anything else that you want to add? No. If there is more, get off your chest. That is it. It is a damning confession. But the detectives cannot arrest Lana just yet. After Lana confessed, the police left. They got their ducks in a row as far as what charges would be made. And they were ready to come back the next day to arrest Lana Clayton. But early that morning, they get a call from one of Lana's neighbors. They found notes of suicide. They are afraid that she has harmed herself. She knew the police were coming back the next day, and she knew they would have warrants for arrest. She turned the gas on and went upstairs and took some pills to kill herself. They find her unconscious in her bed. She is taken into the hospital where she is treated and ultimately released, and then immediately arrested on the charges of murder and tampering with food items. The family is informed of Lana's arrest. A detective from York County called me and said, "Hey, Nick, I just want to bring you up to speed here." Lana confessed, and I pulled over right away. It hit me like a ton of bricks, literally like a baseball bat to the face. I answered the phone, and Rosie was on the other end screaming that she killed him on January 16, 2020. Lana accepts a plea deal and admits guilt on charges of voluntary manslaughter and tampering with a drug or food product. The original indictment was for murder. You were pleading to a lesser offense, voluntary manslaughter. My own knowledge of Aida Sidet was by watching movies and the cause of discomfort and diarrhea. Lana insists she never intended for Steve to die and just wanted revenge for his abuse. But his friends and family do not buy that. Steve was ever abusive. She tries to assassinate Steve's character because other people who knew him and who he had mentored came forward to say he was a wonderful person. There was no abuse of any sort with Steven. She was trying to do whatever she could to save herself from a very, very, very long sentence and possibly the death penalty. But he was a gentle soul, not capable of harming someone. Based on the toxicology report, the prosecutors believe Steve suffered for 3 days before dying. Lana tells us that the fatal dose was on Thursday morning. But we know as a matter of scientific fact from the toxicologist that is impossible. He would have died Thursday morning if he had ingested that Thursday morning. For him to have been sick all of that time, it indicates that she continually gave him medication throughout that time, poisoned him with Visine little by little. And Lana, a nurse, never sought to help him after the initial poisoning. Stephen would not have stayed in a urine-soaked mattress. He was a clean freak. He would not have stood for such a thing. He is too weak to get up and move. There is no phone in the house. There is no landline, so he cannot call somebody. So this puts him in a situation of being tortured with no way to get help. And so finally she knew Saturday, that is it. And she squeezed a whole bottle of Visine into his water, had him drink it, and then goes out to mow the grass. So she did not have to watch the horror of his death. Instead of a nurse that helps, she is the nurse from hell. 53-year-old Lana Clayton is sentenced to 25 years in prison. She never admitted that she intended to kill Steve, but the facts show otherwise. I feel like there is no penalty that would have been great enough for Lana. This is 3 days of methodically poisoning my best friend and then killing him. The thought process that had to go into her putting on this charade. And she carried that right on through till the end. And I think that is the definition of a monster. But Lana almost got away with it. There almost was not an autopsy. If there had not been an autopsy, the ruling of the coroner would have been, this was likely a heart episode, and it was natural causes. The truth is she did this to herself. You know, had she been just the same quiet, gentle Lana grieving the loss of Steve, no one would have had any suspicion whatsoever. Although Lana insists Steve's death was unintentional. His family and the prosecution believe it was a deliberate act motivated by financial gain. One obvious and glaring motive is Steve's wealth. Without a will in the state of South Carolina, everything goes to the spouse. So Lana would know, if Steve is gone, I get everything. If somebody wanted to do something malicious like this, all they had to do was get rid of the will, and everything belonged to them. The family tried to move on without Steve in their lives. Hello. I mean, I miss a lot about Steve, but I miss his voice. I miss hearing his voice. This is my way of, getting away from the emotional stuff. I think what I miss about Steve is his over-the-top personality. This big, boisterous, gregarious character that enters a room and just takes over everything. Steve was an amazing person. It has been difficult not having him around. The thing I miss the most about Steve is his laughter and his ability to light up a room. Stephen was stolen from everyone who loved him. Steve was stolen from everyone who loved him. The story of Stephen Clayton is a testament to the profound impact one individual can have when they choose to live life with an open heart, an infectious laugh, and an unshakable commitment to the people around them. To understand the depth of his legacy, one must look at the way he filled every room he entered, leaving an indelible mark on his family, his friends, and the many lives he touched throughout his journey. He was a man of remarkable success. Yet his truest wealth was never measured in bank accounts or physical possessions, but in the boundless generosity and love he extended to the world. From his earliest days, Stephen displayed a vibrant energy that seemed almost larger than life. Growing up as a big brother to 4 sisters, he naturally stepped into a protective, guiding role. His youngest sister, Rosemary, always looked up to him as her ultimate hero. To a little girl, Stephen was everything a big brother should be. He was strong, confident, and athletic, making a name for himself on the high school football field and dominating on the wrestling mat. That physical prowess and larger-than-life presence made him seem completely invincible to those who loved him. Yet behind that tough, athletic exterior lay a deeply sensitive soul. A man who cared immensely for his family and possessed a natural ability to bring joy and laughter to any situation. As Stephen transitioned into adulthood, his sharp intellect and determined spirit became increasingly evident. After graduating from high school, he attended college and earned a degree in finance, quickly maturing into an incredibly shrewd and capable businessman. Stephen possessed a rare combination of financial acumen and visionary thinking. Along with a business partner, he founded a company named Physical Therapy Resources. Through hard work, strategic planning, and an unwavering commitment to quality care, they built the business from the ground up. What started as a modest venture eventually blossomed into a massive national company, with physical therapy centers established all across the country. It was during his time working within the hospital system that Stephen formed many lifelong connections, demonstrating a professional excellence that earned him the respect of colleagues nationwide. Despite his immense professional success, Stephen never allowed his career to consume his entire identity. He had set a personal goal for himself to retire by the age of 40. While he missed that specific target by a single year, retiring instead at the age of 41 after successfully selling his interest in the company. The achievement was nothing short of extraordinary. Free from the demands of corporate life, Stephen found himself in a position that many only dream of. Yet, rather than retreating into a life of idle luxury, he chose to use his freedom, his resources, and his time to give back to others. Retirement allowed Stephen to become a dedicated mentor to a large group of young men. He spent countless hours helping aspiring entrepreneurs launch their own businesses, guiding them through the complexities of finance and strategy, and helping them discover the direction they wanted their lives to take. His generosity was not passive. He did not merely write checks. Instead, Stephen invested his personal time, his wisdom, and his boundless energy into the future of others. He was a constant source of inspiration, proving that true success lies in lifting others up. Amidst his various philanthropic endeavors, Stephen always made his family his absolute priority. His relationship with his sisters, particularly his youngest sister Rosemary, remained a cornerstone of his life. In April of 2006, the family experienced a profound loss when their beloved father passed away. The grief was heavy, leaving a significant void in their lives just 11 months before Rosemary was scheduled to be married. Understanding the emotional weight of the situation, Rosemary turned to her big brother, asking Stephen if he would step in and walk her down the aisle. Without a moment of hesitation, Stephen accepted the responsibility, determined to honor their father's memory and support his sister on the most important day of her life. On March 10th, 2007, the family gathered in Miami for Rosemary's wedding to William Leslie. It was a beautiful, sentimental day, filled with a poignant mixture of joy and tears. The absence of their father hung gently in the air, but Stephen's presence provided a grounding sense of comfort and strength. When the traditional question was asked during the ceremony, inquiring who gave the woman to be married to the groom, Stephen spoke clearly and from the heart, stating that he did so in the cherished memory of their father. It was a powerful, emotional moment that set the tone for the entire celebration. As the evening progressed into the reception, Stephen truly became the life and soul of the occasion. Known for his incredible humor and spontaneous nature, he was always the first person to stand up and deliver a toast. He never relied on prepared notes. Instead, his speeches were completely ad-libbed, flowing directly from his heart. Stepping up to the microphone, he brought his characteristic energy to the room, instantly shifting the atmosphere from tearful sentimentality to joyful celebration. He looked at the groom, expressing his deep gratitude to William for making his sister so incredibly happy, before turning his thoughts to their late father. Stephen was never one to hide his emotions, and as he spoke his father's final wish for him to take care of Rosemary, his voice carried a profound sincerity. He commended the newlyweds on their wonderful partnership, stating that he had never seen his sister happier, before masterfully transitioning back into humor to keep the mood light and celebratory. The highlight of the reception came during the traditional dance, where Stephen stepped in to share a powerful moment with Rosemary. Before the music began, a surprise recording of their dearly departed father played over the speakers. The voice spoke of tender memories, recalling how Rosemary would climb onto his knee as a little girl and say how much she loved him, expressing how deeply those days were missed. The emotional impact was overwhelming, bringing tears to the eyes of everyone present. Throughout that momentous day, Stephen fulfilled countless roles with effortless grace. He acted as a father figure, the best man, the entertainer, and the calming force that kept everyone laughing and comfortable. He was a natural leader, guided by a deep well of love for his family. While Stephen's professional life had been remarkably stable and his family relationships flourished, his romantic life had historically been somewhat rocky. He was a man who possessed a clear vision of what he wanted in a partner. He searched for someone who was just as focused, determined, loving, and caring as he was. An exceptionally tall order to fill given his own immense personality and capacity for giving. As he reached the age of 52, his family began to wonder if he would ever find that special person capable of connecting with him on an emotional, intellectual, and spiritual level. That answers came in the late months of 2009, when Stephen decided to leave his familiar surroundings in the state of Florida for a change of pace in North Carolina. Stephen possessed a deep love for physical activity and the great outdoors. He relished long walks, gardening, and anything that allowed him to immerse himself in nature. The move to North Carolina offered him the perfect opportunity to indulge these passions on a much grander scale. Within just a few months of settling into his new environment, Stephen joyfully announced his family that he had met someone incredibly special. Those close to him instantly noticed a renewed glow in his demeanor, a visible excitement that had been missing for some time. The woman who had captured his heart was Lana Walsh, a nurse who was 12 years his junior and had grown up in Oklahoma. In many ways, Lana was a complete opposite of Stephen. While Stephen possessed a gigantic, boisterous, and gregarious personality that commanded attention, Lana struck people as being remarkably quiet, sweet, and unassuming. She was a gentle presence, often described as a wallflower in social settings. Yet, despite these striking differences in temperament, the connection between them was undeniable. Stephen was completely captivated by her sweet nature, and it was not long before they became entirely inseparable. They displayed a profound affection for one another, always seen arm in arm, with Stephen constantly hugging her, squeezing her, and showering her with kisses. Seeing his brother so profoundly in love, Rosemary and the rest of the family warmly embraced Lana into their hearts. As their relationship deepened, Stephen used his characteristic powers of persuasion to convince Lana to move to Charlotte to build a life together. They quickly began to establish a home, adding new members to their household in the form of 2 beloved Italian greyhounds. The first dog they welcomed was named Guinness, and their mutual love for the elegant breed soon led them to adopt a second, a sweet female named Sadie. Stephen found a profound sense of peace and grounding in Lana's presence. He frequently spoke of her with immense tenderness, affectionately referring to her as his Lana Sue, unable to conceal the deep love that had reshaped his future. 6 years after his sister's wedding, Stephen's own dream of finding a lifelong partner culminated in a beautiful ceremony. In November 2013, Stephen and Lana were married at their home in Charlotte. It was a lovely, intimate day, attended by family members who traveled from far and wide to celebrate the union. The mutual devotion between the bride and groom was radiant, visible to everyone who witnessed them exchange their vows. Shortly after their wedding, the couple decided to relocate to their definitive dream home, purchasing a stunning property just over the border in South Carolina, nestled along the scenic banks of Lake Wylie. The new residence was a spectacular ocean blue home situated on a gorgeous piece of lakefront property, looking very much like a scene from a picture postcard. Stephen and Lana threw themselves into refurbishing and decorating the house, filling it with Stephen's extensive collection of unique artworks and cherished antiques. Stephen was a person for whom objects held deep personal meaning, and he took immense pride in curating a beautiful, welcoming environment. The location also allowed them to fully indulge their shared love for nature and outdoor activities, with Stephen always being the first to enthusiastically participate in any lakeside fun. The move to South Carolina also brought the couple closer to Stephen's extended family. Nick French, who had married Stephen's niece in 2010, officially becoming his nephew, spent an immense amount of time with the couple. They frequently gathered for dinners, attended concerts, and celebrated holidays together, forming a tight-knit and supportive family network. Additionally, the home was just a short 30-minute drive from Lana's son and her twin granddaughters, providing ample opportunities for family gatherings. Stephen, who remained a child at heart throughout his life, possessed a natural gift for interacting with children. He was a kind of uncle and grandfather who would happily get down on the floor to play games, filling the house with laughter and joy. The Clayton household was constantly filled with vibrant energy. Whether Stephen was attempting to playfully describe the rules of the limbo dance to the twin granddaughters while Lana filmed, or participating in silly children's games like turning the handles of a toy spinner, his good humor was always on display. The children adored him, constantly hanging on to him like a giant teddy bear, while Lana happily participated in the fun. By all appearances, 5 years into their marriage, Stephen and Lana were thriving, living an idyllic life surrounded by beauty, family, and mutual affection. However, in June of 2018, this peaceful existence was suddenly interrupted when Stephen fell unexpectedly ill. He began complaining of severe vertigo, intense dizziness, nausea, and a sharp pain in his ear, while working outside in his beloved garden. The symptoms became so overwhelming that he began to vomit, forcing him to seek relief indoors. Believing he might have suffered from a severe case of sunstroke due to the summer heat, Stephen laid down to rest. According to his later recollections, the illness was so profound that 36 hours passed before he opened his eyes again. When Rosemary called home to check on her brother, she was deeply concerned to hear about the mysterious illness. To lose 36 hours of time was highly unusual for a person of any age, let alone someone as historically active and robust as Stephen. Lana, drawing upon her professional background as a registered nurse, reassured Rosemary that she was monitoring him closely, ensuring he remained comfortable and rested. The family took comfort in the fact that a trained medical professional was by his side, administering care and watching over his recovery. Within 2 weeks, Lana's care seemed to have yielded excellent results. Stephen appeared to make a full recovery, returning entirely to his normal, energetic self. He threw a spectacular celebration for the 4th of July, welcoming family and friends to their lakefront home. Throughout the party, Stephen was his characteristically affectionate and boisterous self, grabbing Lana to dance and encouraging everyone else to join in the festivities. The couple looked completely in love, and any lingering worries about Stephen's health quickly dissipated, leaving the family confident that they would enjoy many more happy years together. Tragedy struck unexpectedly on July 21st, 2018, when an emergency call was placed to the York County Emergency Services from the Clayton residence. Law enforcement units arrived swiftly at the scene, where body camera footage captured the somber atmosphere. Upon entering the front doors of the grand home, officers discovered Stephen lying unresponsive at the bottom of the elegant staircase. Tragically, he had already passed away. The responding officers spoke in quiet, respectful whispers. fully aware that a distraught and deeply grieving Lana was just around the corner. Sergeant Day, the lead officer on the scene, gently approached Lana to gather information regarding the circumstances surrounding Stephen's passing. Lana, visibly overwhelmed, explained that Stephen had been suffering from a return of his severe vertigo symptoms over the preceding 2 days. She recounted that on Thursday morning he had stood up, became intensely dizzy, and collapsed. She described the immense effort it took to help him upstairs to bed, noting that he had not been back downstairs since that moment. She further explained that she had briefly gone outside to mow the lawn, and upon returning, discovered him at the bottom of the stairs, panic-stricken and unable to revive him. She ran outside to wave down a passing motorcyclist to call for emergency assistance. Word of Stephen's passing spread quickly through the family. Nephew Nick French, who was on duty as a police officer at the time, received the devastating news via phone call from his mother. The shock was immediate and profound. The concept of the robust, life-loving Stephen being gone seemed entirely impossible. Rosemary, receiving the news hundreds of miles away, was collapsed in disbelief. Nick and the local family members immediately rallied around Lana, offering comfort and support during what they imagined was an unimaginable nightmare for the grieving widow. Lana continually expressed her heartbreak, voicing her profound hope that Stephen had not suffered during his fall down the stairs. Sergeant Day conducted a thorough initial inspection of the residence to rule out any immediate signs of foul play. Walking through the large, beautifully decorated home, he looked for indications of a struggle or unauthorized entry. The master bedroom showed a rumpled bed sheet, but there was no evidence of violence or an altercation. The initial assessment by the medical examiner suggested that the physical presentation did not align with a traumatic fall down the staircase, as there were no significant contusions or external injuries indicating an impact. Instead, the coloration of Stephen's face and upper chest showed a distinct blueness, a classic physiological sign that often points toward a sudden and massive heart attack. Based on these physical observations, the coroner initially indicated that the cause of death appeared to be a natural cardiac event. Sergeant Day shared this preliminary finding with Lana, offering words of comfort and suggesting that perhaps it was simply the day that a higher power had chosen for Stephen to depart. While Lana processed the somber news, Nick French and other family members began the difficult task of helping to tidy the home, wanting to ensure the environment remained comfortable for Lana as she faced the difficult days ahead. However, when the family members went upstairs to the master bedroom to assist with cleaning, they made a highly unsettling discovery. The room was filled with a powerful, unmistakable odor of human distress and neglect. Upon closer inspection of the bed, they found massive, deep discoloration spots in the center of the mattress, indicating that a significant amount of fluid had soaked completely through the heavy material. The sheer volume suggested that Stephen had been incapacitated and unable to leave the bed for several days. Disturbed by the condition of the room, Nick and the family members immediately worked to remove the heavy, soiled mattress from the home, throwing it outside while a cloud of troubling questions began to form in their minds. When Rosemary spoke with Lana later that evening, further discrepancies began to emerge. Rosemary questioned why medical assistance had not been called sooner if Stephen had been so profoundly ill for days. Lana responded that Stephen had initially seemed to be improving and had spent much of the time sleeping heavily. When asked about Stephen's cell phone, which was famously always attached to him, Lana claimed that he had misplaced it over a week prior. For a meticulous businessman who relied heavily on communication, the idea of Stephen being without his phone for a week struck Rosemary as deeply out of character. A growing sense of unease began to take hold within the family, suggesting that something far more sinister had occurred behind the closed doors of the lakefront home. The suspicion deepened significantly regarding the matter of Stephen's estate. Stephen had always been incredibly meticulous regarding his financial affairs and had frequently discussed the importance of having everything in order. He had clear, explicit wishes to be buried in a specific, beautiful cemetery in Fort Lauderdale alongside family members. However, When Rosemary inquired about his will, Lana firmly stated that no such document existed. Furthermore, Lana moved with extraordinary speed to arrange for Stephen's cremation and began clearing his personal belongings out of the house. By the time a memorial service was held at the home on August 4th, 2018, the family was shocked to discover that Stephen's entire wardrobe had already been completely emptied from a master closet and donated to the Veterans Affairs Organization. Countless empty hangers lined the space where his clothes once hung. Furthermore, his valuable watches, personal jewelry, and even his wedding ring were entirely missing from the home. The idea that a trained accountant and financial planner would leave a substantial estate without a formal defied all logic. Convinced that the pieces of the puzzle did not fit, the family took decisive action, contacting the medical examiner's office to formally request a comprehensive autopsy and a full toxicology screening. Detective Moats of the York County Sheriff's Office was assigned to investigate the family's concerns. While the initial autopsy findings officially listed signs of underlying heart disease consistent with the natural causes theory, the final determination hinged entirely on the results of the comprehensive toxicology report. The family endured weeks of anxious waiting, holding on to the firm conviction that the truth would eventually come to light. When the toxicology results finally returned from the laboratory, the findings were nothing short of shocking. The analysis of Stephen's blood revealed the presence of several mild sedatives, including traces of marijuana, temazepam, and Benadryl. However, the most alarming and definitive discovery was a massive, lethal concentration of tetrahydrozoline. Tetrahydrozoline is a potent chemical compound commonly utilized as the active ingredient in over-the-counter redness relief eye drops. While safe for its intended topical ophthalmic use, the chemical is highly toxic if ingested. In small amounts, it induces severe dizziness, profound nausea, blurred vision, and drops in blood pressure. In large doses, it acts as a powerful neurotoxin, rapidly shutting down the central nervous system, slowing the heart rate, and ultimately causing death. Investigating officers recalled that during their initial walk through the master bedroom, a bottle of eye drops had been observed resting on a tall dresser, positioned completely out of reach from the bed, where an incapacitated person could access it. It became immediately clear to detectives that Stephen's death was not the result of natural causes. Detective Moat scheduled a formal interview with Lana Clayton to delve into the medications present in her late husband's system. During the questioning, which took place 5 weeks after Stephen's passing, detectives carefully guided a conversation toward Stephen's health habits. Lana freely discussed his use of various over-the-counter remedies, mentioning his frequent intake of Benadryl, yet she made absolutely no mention of eye drops. The chemical itself is entirely colorless, odorless, and virtually tasteless when dissolved in liquid, making an undetectable agent when introduced into food or beverages. The concentration discovered in Stephen's blood was overwhelmingly lethal, leaving no scientific doubt regarding the cause of his demise. As the detectives pressed further into the dynamics of the marriage, Lana began to paint a dark portrait of their domestic life. She claimed that she had lived in a constant state of anxiety, walking on eggshells due to what she described as Stephen's volatile temper. She alleged that he was frequently verbally abusive, calling her derogatory names and exhibiting explosive bursts of anger. She claimed that she had learned to simply stay out of his way to avoid escalating conflicts. Following the interview, law enforcement executed a thorough search warrant of the Lake Wiley residence, seeking any vessels, cups, or glasses that might contain chemical residues, as well as financial documents or correspondence indicating marital strife. During the course of the search, Lana approached the officers, expressing a desire to speak further with Detective Moats. In a subsequent recorded statement, Lana delivered a series of startling admissions. She claimed that Stephen's alleged behavior had been far worse than previously described, involving physical intimidation. She stated that following the initial incident in June, which had left her feeling deeply resentful, she recalled a conversation with a former colleague who had mentioned that surreptitiously adding eye drops to someone's drink would induce severe gastrointestinal distress as a means of retaliation. Lana then confessed to a decisive action. She admitted that upon seeing the bottle of eye drops on the table, she had taken it and squeezed the entire contents into Stephen's drinking water. She stated that she had squeezed the bottle forcefully, emptying the fluid entirely before presenting it to him. She expressed a sudden, outward worry to the detective, questioning if her actions had inadvertently caused his passing. While the confession was incredibly damning, detectives maintained a calm demeanor, allowing her to remain at the residence while they meticulously prepared the necessary formal arrest warrants and charges. Early the following morning, emergency services received a frantic call from one of Lana's neighbors. The neighbor had discovered deeply troubling notes indicating an intent to self-harm, sparking immediate fears for Lana's safety. Recognizing that law enforcement would be returning with warrants, Lana had turned on the gas supply within the home and ingested a significant quantity of pills in a desperate attempt to evade justice. Responding officers discovered her unconscious in the master bed. She was rushed to a local hospital, where medical staff successfully treated her. Upon her discharge, she was immediately taken into lawful custody and formally charged with murder and the malicious tampering of food products. The news of the confession and subsequent arrest reverberated through the family. When Nick French received the definitive call from investigators confirming the confession, the realization hit him with immense force, completely shattering any lingering doubts. Rosemary, upon hearing the news, was overcome with an intense wave of grief and outrage. Her cries echoing profound pain of losing her beloved brother to an act of ultimate betrayal. On January 16, 2020, the legal proceedings reached a conclusion when Lana Clayton accepted a negotiated plea agreement. She entered a formal plea of guilty to the lesser offense of voluntary manslaughter, alongside charges of tampering with food or drug product. During the hearing, Lana maintained that she had never intended to cause Stephen's death, asserting that her understanding of the chemical's effects had been garnered strictly from popular media portrayals, believing it would merely cause temporary physical discomfort and diarrhea as a form of petty revenge. However, Stephen's family, friends, and the prosecution fiercely rejected this narrative. Numerous individuals whom Stephen had mentored and supported throughout his life came forward to testify to his exceptionally gentle, kind, and generous nature, soundly refuting any allegations of domestic misconduct. They argued that the claims were a calculated attempt to assassinate Stephen's character in a bid to secure a reduced sentence and avoid the possibility of extreme penalties. The scientific evidence provided by the toxicologist further dismantled the defense's timeline. While Lana claimed she had administered a single, fatal dose on Thursday morning, the medical reality indicated that such a massive quantity would have caused near instantaneous mortality. The fact that Stephen had been profoundly ill, incapacitated, and suffering over a period of 3 days clearly demonstrated that the toxin had been systematically administered in smaller, consecutive doses over an extended time frame. As a trained nurse, Lana was fully aware of the deteriorating physical signs of central nervous system depression, yet she deliberately chose to withhold medical intervention. The prosecution emphasized the cruel reality of Stephen's final days. Stephen, who was widely known by his loved ones to be an absolute clean freak who took immense pride in his personal hygiene, would never have willingly remained in a soil bed. He was rendered completely paralyzed and too physically weak to seek assistance. With no landline telephone available and his mobile phone intentionally hidden, he was left entirely defenseless, subjected to a prolonged period of physical torment without any means of summoning help. The final, massive dose was administered on Saturday, after which Lana went outside to perform routine yard work, intentionally avoiding the immediate consequences of her actions. Ultimately, the court sentenced the 53-year-old Lana Clayton to serve 25 years in a state correctional facility. While the family felt that no amount of time behind bars could fully compensate for the calculated loss of their beloved brother and friend, the conclusion of the legal battle provided a definitive measure of justice. The investigation highlighted the critical importance of the family's persistence. Had they not insisted on a comprehensive toxicology panel, the crime may well have gone undetected, officially recorded as a natural cardiac event. The primary motive behind the tragic act was determined to be financial gain. Under prevailing estate laws of South Carolina, in the absence of a legally binding will, the entirety of a decedent's estate automatically transfers to the surviving spouse by ensuring the disappearance of any estate planning documents. The path was clear for total control over Stephen's substantial wealth and cherished properties. In the years following the conclusion of the case, Stephen's family and friends have worked tirelessly to preserve the beautiful, vibrant memory of the man they lost. While they miss his physical presence deeply, it is the sound of his boisterous voice, his booming laughter, and his larger-than-life personality that echoes most profoundly in their hearts. Stephen Clayton was a man who lived to bring joy to others, a dedicated mentor who poured his soul into the success of the next generation, and a fiercely loyal brother and uncle. Though his life was cut tragically short by an act of profound greed, the legacy of his kindness, his humor, and the love he shared remains entirely unshakable, continuing to inspire everyone who had the profound privilege of knowing him. This is a story of a successful and generous businessman, who meets a nurse with a heart as big as his own. She struck me as being very quiet, but very sweet and very nice, and falls head over heels. He could not hide the feelings he had for her. He was very much in love with her. But when a sickness consumes their marriage, we just knew that there was something was very wrong. Money is no protection. This is not a natural death. Welcome. Tonight we celebrate the joining of two wonderful people. It is March 10th, 2007 in Miami. A big day for bride Rosemary Clayton and her family. She is finally marrying her love, William Leslie. That is Rosie's oldest brother, 52-year-old Steve Clayton, proudly walking her down the aisle. 11 months prior to my wedding, we lost our dad. I asked my brother if he would step in. Of course, there was a lot of tears. I could not imagine anybody else standing in place for my dad. Who gives this woman to be married to this man? I do in the memory of my father. It was sentimental to be gathered at something so special where my dad was not present. With their father's passing, Rosie's brother Steve is now the head of the family. And though he has never had children of his own, he has always been a father figure to his siblings. When my father and mother were married, Steve was just about 2 or 3 years old. He had 4 sisters, and I am the youngest. He was 10 years older than me. So there really was not a moment when Steve was not in my life. Steve was my big brother, and he was my hero. He was everything a little girl would want in a big brother. He played football, he wrestled in high school, and so that really made him bigger than life for me. After high school, Steve graduates college with a degree in finance and quickly matures into a shrewd businessman. Steve, with a partner, started a company called Physical Therapy Resources. That eventually became a national company with physical therapy centers all over the country. Steve and I met at work. He was in the hospital, and I was in the same hospital. And that is how we met and became friends. He was very successful and eventually sold his interest in his business. And basically from that point on, he was retired. His goal was to retire at the age of 40. He missed it by 1 year. He retired when he was 41. Selling his business